Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel Everyday Grace. So today we are going to be redoing my granny's coffee table. This is my dad's mother's mother, so it's my granny, and she had this coffee table whenever she lived in this house that we're in, because she lived in this house in the early 2000s and she passed away in 2006. Well, in 2021, I believe we bought this house from my mamaw, which is her daughter, and I got to keep a lot of my granny stuff that was in the house, and the coffee table was included with that. So I'm redoing it today because we used it for a while. You see it in the videos, but it's really beat up and just scratched and in not good condition. So we're going to be fixing it up in this video. To get started, we sanded it, and it took us like a day and a half to sand it. I actually have my sister-in-law. She helps me through this whole video on this coffee table. But we were sanding it, and you see that green streak through the middle of where it's sanded at? I kept sanding and sanding and sanding, and it was not coming up. And I knew if I stained it that it was going to be stained green, because I've seen this before, but it wasn't as important as it is now on this coffee table than it was the previous project that I've done that did that. And I did it anyways. You can see where I tried to stain it and it still came up green. Well, I looked it up, and apparently that's a fungus that's in the wood. And I went and scraped to see if it would ever come up, and it doesn't. So we had to completely change our plan, because our plan was originally to just sand it, stain the top, paint the bottom. And we stick to that plan, but I have to replace the top part with planks. So right now we're just putting on some primer, and I'm just using the Zinsser's Bullseye 3-in-1 primer. Disclaimer, before we go any further, I want to make it very clear, this is not a tutorial. This is a DIY that I'm doing to my own stuff. I don't want y'all to go off and try to do what I did and then be like, well, Sarah said. No, Sarah did not say. I tell people this all the time. I'm going to screw it up whenever I'm doing it, but whenever I get finished with it, it's going to look very nice and pretty, and it's going to be stable. But just know in the middle, it's going to look screwed up. And I don't want other people to try to do it and then come back to me and be like, no, it's your fault. No, no, no. 98% of the time, the DIYs that I'm doing, I am winging the whole thing. So please just be careful. If you get inspiration from this and you want to do something similar, just know that I don't know what I'm doing. I just do it. Now we're just going in with Valspar interior paint satin in the color Dried Thyme, and it is a very beautiful muted sage green color. It really doesn't pick it up on camera just how beautiful this color is, but it's the perfect sage green color, and I absolutely love how it came out and how it turned out. This is actually the same color that I have in my bathroom cabinets that I painted them. I bought a whole gallon of this color. I literally had so much of it. I've painted my cabinets in my bathroom. I'm painting this. We painted my sister-in-law's bookcase with it. I mean, it's just a bunch of paint, and it lasts a very long time. So this actually was something I grabbed out of my shed that I'm using. It's leftovers, and it's perfect for this project. I'm so happy with it. We're putting it all over the base of the coffee table, up into the lip. You see that piece of wood that kind of sticks up off the top of the coffee table. I call that a lip. I don't really know the technical term for it. But we're going to go all the way up onto that, and then that'll separate the planks from the paint. My sister-in-law and I just kind of took turns on who's painting, and we literally worked on this until nighttime. You'll see that later on in the video. It was a couple of days. It probably took us, I want to say, 3 solid days, and one of those days was just sanding, because we didn't realize at the time that we weren't going to be able to stain the top. We kept trying to get that green to come up. Note to self, whenever that green is on there, it's usually all the way through. There was no getting it off. So, but honestly, I'm actually happier with how it came out in the end, because it's not, I don't know how to explain it, but the planks raise up the top of it, and I think it adds more dimension, and it's so pretty. All in all, this project took 1 coat of primer, 2 coats of paint, 2 coats of stain, 5 coats of polyacrylic, and a ton of sanding, y'all. I could literally do a slogan saying, "Do you sand?" on your I'm gonna get that as a t-shirt. Oh my goodness, because we had so much sawdust up our nose, it wasn't even funny. But I almost got away with doing this project for free. I was almost there, y'all, but I had to end up buying the planks because that top piece had that green stuff on it. But honestly, I'm happier with how it turned out. I'm not upset at all about that. I spent probably like, I want to say like $35 on the planks. And that's the only thing I had to buy because everything else was literally just leftovers from previous projects that me and my sister-in-law have done. So whenever I'm doing a project, she helps me, and whenever she does a project, I help her, and I really, really love the relationship we have because it's just it's hard to come by. So if you're watching this, Brooke, I love you. Thank you for your help. Next, I'm cracking open this Minwax Premium Oil Wood Finish Penetrating Stain in the color Special Walnut 224. It is a gorgeous, rich brown walnut color, and it actually shows the grain of the wood up under the stain. So I don't like stains that are heavy and they cover the wood. I like to see that grain. I like to see the wood color, and it does a beautiful job of doing that. And I don't like the red stains or the orange stains or the yellow stains. I mean, don't come at me. Everybody has their opinion. It's fine. If you like that, that's awesome. Your house, you do you. But in my opinion, I just prefer the brown stains rather than the red or the orange or the yellow stains. Alright, it is the next day, and my sister-in-law is working on putting that second coat of paint on the base, and you'll see me in just a second. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to start doing the stain over those planks one more time. So 2 coats of paint, 2 coats of stain, and that's all we need for right now, and then we'll move on to the next thing. Y'all remember how I said this wasn't a tutorial? This is the reason why I say whatever I do is not a tutorial. I am putting toothpaste on that lip, and I'm going to lay down the planks over that, and it's going to pretty much do an outline for me on where I need to saw the planks. This isn't logical for everybody, but it worked for me because I couldn't fit a Sharpie or even a mechanical pencil between the lip, the plank, and the table itself. It wouldn't go through. So I was like, you know what, I don't care if other people don't think this is right, this is what I'm gonna do. And guess what, it ended up working. It was a little messy. I don't really recommend it. If you got a better way to do things or do it, definitely do whatever works best for you, but this is just what I could do on a pinch. Next, I'm just using a jigsaw to carve out the piece where I put the toothpaste on. And this is funny because whenever I was doing this, my sister-in-law, she was kind of making fun of me because she was like, you like to manhandle stuff. And honestly, that's the truth, because I like to work the tool and not let the tool do the work. So whenever I was cutting this, it was really hard to cut. I was pressing down real hard and it just wasn't going. And then at the last one, whenever I was cutting the last one, I kind of loosened up and just kind of let the tool do its thing, and it was a lot easier to cut. And I was like, oh wow. And then whenever I looked at the blade, it was dull. I was like, oh yeah, that's good. Jimmy's going to be really happy with me. That's okay though. That's like with the sanders. I was going through sandpapers and I couldn't figure out why I was going through so much sandpapers. And my sister-in-law was like, yeah, you need to quit pressing down so hard. I've used sanders and jigsaws before, but apparently it didn't click until just now that, hey, you could let the tool do the work and it will work out a lot better for you. Then we went in and just sanded the edges of the planks to make it fit inside of the lip, and it took a while to do that, but we finally got it done. And now we're going in and using wood glue on the table and on the planks to stick the planks onto the table to make it stick right or adhere to the table. And it worked really well. Me and my sister-in-law actually sat on it for a while. In the middle of it, did adhere, but the edges of it didn't. And in a minute, I'll show you. I didn't record me actually putting in the nails, but in a minute, I'll show you where I put in nails. I showed the after part. And I just put in just some finishing nails on the edges where it wasn't adhering, the edges where it's closest to the lip, it wasn't adhering correctly. So I just popped in a couple of finishing nails and it completed it. And it's so gorgeous. I just cannot rave about it enough. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but it ain't going in everybody's house. It's going in my house. So I'm happy with it. And this is how she ended up turning out, y'all. I am so happy with the results. So I didn't film me I put 5 layers of polyacrylic on it, on the painted part and the wood. And then, can't really hardly see, but if you look, I have some finishing nails on it as well that I just put on the edges because the glue was holding this part, but it didn't hold this part really well. So I just put a couple of finishing nails on it. You can't see that well. The lighting in my house isn't very good, especially since it's raining outside right now. But look how pretty it is, y'all. Look at that. It's beautiful. I couldn't have been more happier.